Gregory Porter, 1960 what? Tonight at 7:30 p.m. at the Sadhana Center for Yoga and Meditation over on Warren Street, we will have a special guest, the Yogi Monk Dada, and he has honored us by coming in to talk to us about what he's going to speak to tonight, the spiritual and economic democracy in Latin America and the United States. And so welcome to the WGXC Morning Show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
I'm honored to have you here. And the subject matter that you'll be discussing tonight sounds very interesting because it sounds like it covers a lot of bases. Economic democracy in Latin America and the United States.
It does.
So can you enlighten us, please?
I'll try. First of all, I'm a monk of yoga and meditation. Dada Mahdesvarananda is my complete name. I forget how to pronounce the second part of it many times myself. And I've been working in Venezuela for the last 7 years as the director of the Prout Research Institute of Venezuela in Caracas. And, you know, I think we need a democracy that works for everybody, just as we need an economy that works for everybody. I interviewed Noam Chomsky for my book, and he said you can't have meaningful political democracy without functioning economic democracy. We need an economy of the people, by the people, and for the people that works for everybody, that doesn't exclude anybody, that doesn't leave anybody poor and hungry as we have today. Mm-hmm. And I think also that spiritual values, a spiritual perspective, are very important too for building a healthy economy and society. I think the healing energy that comes from meditation and other spiritual practices is needed to really heal the wounds of the suffering that has gone on in the name of a structural institution, this society that doesn't work for everybody.
I have long pondered looking at the condition of mankind and agreeing with you 100% as to how we can get there.
Yeah. I think of two questions, actually. One is, what do we want, you know? And what kind of world do we want, I think, is one of the most fundamental questions that we should ask everybody, school kids from kindergarten to postgraduate level. And I think we should ask everybody in society, because when we know what we want, a world without hunger, with mutual respect, communication, protecting the environment, protecting nature, then I think we can get there. Because together, nothing's impossible. Together, we can build the kind of world we want. So I think of the two questions. One is the vision, mm-hmm. and two is how to get there. And how to get there, I think, first of all, this world is very surprising. Be prepared to be surprised, I think, is a very good attitude we should have. They say that the global capitalism, will continue forever. I don't think it will. I think things change. I think systems fail and collapse, and that alternatives are very, very important at that time.
I wonder sometimes, and I guess I lose faith because when you described the where we want to go, is those are the aspirations of a lot of people
Sure.
like us, but then so many have the aspiration of when you ask them what they want, they say a new car, a large
Sure.
television.
Sure.
And so we've got to break through that barrier.
Sure. Well, every one of us has different instincts and tendencies that are both positive and negative. Selfishness is part of us. And also the opposite, selflessness, altruism, wanting to help others, be kind to others, compassion, is another thing that we all have within us. And we need a system that encourages the good and discourages the bad. Just like today, in every country of the world, we have laws against murder and violence, for example. They work with more or less efficiency, but they're on the books in every country of the world to discourage people, to make people try to think 1,000 times, hopefully, before they ever consider killing somebody. But we don't have laws against selfishness and greed, and we need that. And, you know, there's plenty on this planet for everybody, but there's not enough for everyone's greed. So we need to make a world that, you know, is sustainable, that allows everyone a very high quality of life. But
do you see the people, especially those who are in power and control, ever evolving to the point that they understand that? Because it's quite simple to understand.
I don't.
No?
No, I don't. I'm not waiting for the richest 1/10 of 1% to suddenly transform. Any human being can transform. I'm convinced of that. But, you know, society makes laws to control people from excessive greed. For example, I lived in the Philippines for 8 years, you know, and there was this crazy lady there. Her name was Imelda Marcos. She was the wife of the dictator,
Yes.
and she liked shoes. She
Yes,
had 3,000 pairs of shoes, you know, when she left the palace, you know, and 1,500 dresses. Now, I think any reasonable person can assume that anybody who keeps 3,000 pairs of shoes is mad, you know. But actually, we don't do that very much. We don't actually look at people. I mean, all indigenous and Native American peoples, they knew that excessive competition, excessive selfishness is a mental disease. And they tried to help people with mental diseases, you know. But we rather encourage it. You know, we have movies that say greed is good. And it's
That's correct.
not.
It's practically promoted.
Right.
As the thing to do,
Right.
And the rest of us are called naive.
Yeah.
So, spreading this spiritual and economic democracy message, how do you propose that we do it? How do we do it?
I wrote a book called After Capitalism: Prout's Economic Democracy in Action.
Okay.
And it tries to give examples from around the world of communities and people who are building a better world. And I think, you know, we all get inspiration when we read about successful cooperatives, successful communities. I mean, most people don't know there's 1 billion people, 1/7 of our world's population are members of cooperatives. Most people don't know that cooperatives provide 20% more jobs, 2 million jobs in this country, 100 million jobs worldwide, which is 20% more than all the multinational corporations put together. And most people don't even know that cooperatives are much more likely to succeed than private enterprises. In this country, you have a 40% failure rate of private enterprises in the first year and 60% by the 5th year. And cooperatives, 88% are still functioning after 5 years. So they're much more likely to succeed. They share the wealth with all the workers, and people are more motivated. When everybody's getting a share of the profits, you're more motivated to apply your skills and your mind and your good ideas to try to make the system as efficient as possible, as effective as possible in providing the goods and services that your cooperative makes.
On the subject of the book,
Yeah.
its availability and where is it and how can
It's
one
available
get-
from Amazon, After
It is?
Capitalism, Economic Democracy in Action, also from my website, my blog, aftercapitalism.org.
aftercapitalism.org.
Right.
And also, well, of course, we want to get it from the blog.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Good. Yes.
we don't want to buy it from Amazon. We'll buy directly from the blog, which is aftercapitalism.org. And your organization, it is Proud to After Capitalism blogspot.com, and I guess we'll put that up on our website.
Yeah. But aftercapitalism.org gets there.
It'll get you
it's
there?
a lot easier than the technical.
What other are there any other types of subjects that you'll be covering tonight?
Well, I talk a little bit about Venezuela, which I think is fascinating because they're actually trying to implement economic democracy. They're trying to provide the minimum necessities of life for everybody. And about spiritual values. And I think spiritual values are important for all of us. Spiritual values, I see humanity as one human family. we have to treat one another as brothers and sisters on this planet. There's enough for everybody. You know, when I was a kid, I used to fight with my brother and sister sometimes, you know, but we're still family, right? And so the same way, we have to treat everybody as part of our human family. And I think also the animals, the plants, the planet itself, you know, animate, inanimate, everything is part of our family. And we, as the elder sisters and brothers, we need to be servants. We need to take care of the rest of the family, take care of the planet, make it so it lasts forever.
And from here, where will you be traveling?
Oh, I'm going to, it's pronounced Cairo, New York, tomorrow for a couple days, and then on Sunday night I fly back to Venezuela.
Oh, so you'll be in the area then?
Yes.
And then flying back to Venezuela
Sunday night.
Sunday night. And the atmosphere, just quickly, the atmosphere in Venezuela now.
Oh, great climate. Yeah. It's perfect weather, you know.
The political
365 days of the year. Well, it's funny, you know.
You know, we get kind of crazy news up here.
I know you do. And just for example, you know, I mean, we read about the death of the president. I was there when President Hugo Chavez died. I wanted to pay my respects the next day. So I actually called a friend at the radio station and said, what are the plans? And he let me know that it was just announced that they're going to carry the body from the hospital to the military base. And so I went there early morning with some friends. We arrived at 6 o'clock. There was nobody else there. But by 7 o'clock, 200 people were waiting. By 8 o'clock, we're 1,500. By noontime, it's 50,000 person stadium is full. And people are still coming. And, you know, and the next 2 days, it got really big because they're pouring in from every state of the country in order to pay their respects. The line was literally up to 3 miles long, and people waited 36 hours to get 1 second to say goodbye to this gentleman. They weren't paid to do that. They weren't forced to do that. Mm-hmm. They voluntarily stood in that line because he meant so much to them. He had used the petroleum money of the country for the welfare of the people, to provide food, clothing, education, medical care. I mean, it's free medical care for everybody, free health care for everybody. I got a free MRI one day when I got sick.
That's socialism.
Know? Sure, that's great. And, you know, so it's a fast. And the most popular T-shirts today are Yo soy Chavez. I am Chavez.
I am Chavez.
And the people are saying, we're not going back. We're going to continue this process. We will follow. We will continue this process.
Well, it has this has been quite an interesting conversation. There are so many crossroads with my own personal beliefs that I don't even get into it. And Dada will be tonight at the Sadhana Center for yoga meditation at 403 Warren Street on the 3rd floor at 7:30 p.m., 7:30 to 9. And tomorrow in Cairo, do you know where?
Tomorrow, we're going to be at a farm. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find out and let you know so we can. And this is bound to be an interesting talk. The book is available on the website, on the blog spot, aftercapitalism.blogspot.com, but you can just type aftercapitalism.com.
Aftercapitalism.org.
Aftercapitalism.org.
Yeah.
And it sounds very interesting. I hope I can, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say. I'm going to get to at least hear you some more. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, I'm a yoga teacher, and I tell people that, you know, everybody, you all have a physical, mental, and spiritual potential more than you can possibly imagine. I think meditation is good for everyone, but find your peace, follow your bliss, and, you know, you can make a beautiful world. Nothing's impossible.
Oh, boy. Well, and what a guest to have on the day that I decided to play message music. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
And a safe home. And we hope to hear from you again. Let us know what you're doing.
I will.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.